Good Fed Day, Warriors. Everyone ready for the arena? Okay, pretty quiet until, right? Ingmar, Mike, Kman. Good morning, guys. Steve, how are you? Hi, Bran, Monir, Andrew. Okay, Ryan's here, AJ. Okay, Blake. All right, so and we have Ryan. We're at full strength here for you guys today. And I would say right now that most of the action is going to happen in the presser. So you probably want to be with the community for when that begins to occur later on this morning. But take a step today and join and be there for the Fed speech with all of the very good traders. Okay, so good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, sir.
How are you, buddy? So what do you see in cable here, chart-wise? I mean, is that a triple top? Is that a head and shoulders? Can we go and make one more new high and not confirm? Or do you just want to be long? I gave you,
Uh,
I gave
you
you,
set me up. You set me up.
anyway. Or should we just buy the damn thing?
Yeah, you could call it triple bottom, triple top. There's
Yeah,
also double
yeah,
bottom maybe.
yeah,
It's perfect consolidation, isn't it?
yeah,
So you know your levels.
right.
It's clear as day what the market's got to do to go one way or another. It's got to break and
Yeah,
hold 134, or it's got to break and hold below 132. Yeah, whatever it is, 50, 60. You know,
yeah,
if but you got to factor in that little bit of support. You stick another line in on that 3200 level
right there. Yeah.
right
Because
there.
this would measure right to about 31. It's
Yeah,
not huge if it breaks down at 150 or so from here.
no.
So
But that, how
yeah,
much do you want?
yeah,
You'd take 50 pips out of it if you could get it.
yeah,
So yeah, it's a lot of pairs doing the same thing. Euro dollar the same thing. Waiting for a catalyst really
yeah,
for it to move out. And the hard thing for traders, and we've been pointing this out with the euro, is that just when you think it's going and everyone
yeah,
piles in to try and push it over, it
yeah,
goes and reverses on you, and then people are short at the bottom, long at the top, and that's not that's not the way we're supposed to do it.
yeah. I was curious last night when I heard about India and Pakistan, if geography was going to matter as far as maybe giving the dollar a bid. And it looks like Asia was a little bit more worried about it because, that's their theater. When you consider India and Pakistan, Asia, would you?
Sort of.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, let's just think about this for a while. So we have European war, Eastern Europe, but it's Ukraine. We
Yeah.
have a constant ongoing war in the Middle East with who knows, Iran could be in the crosshairs. And now we have this with India and Pakistan. That's three separate theaters of war. Don't you call that a world war?
Well, it's not good, is it? But particularly between
Yeah,
these two, because they're both got nukes, and they're not exactly the most cool-headed countries, India and Pakistan, when they go at it. Hopefully, all
yeah.
these trade deals.
There's a
Yeah,
religious element.
yeah,
Hindus and Muslims. It seems like every religion has to find another religion to hate.
yeah, exactly. But
But anyway,
with all these trade deals that India are doing, so they've got a lot of friends coming in on their side who will hopefully keep cool heads, shall we say, for them. But yeah,
who
it's
are
just.
they? Who are their allies? Because I know China is lining up behind Pakistan.
Yeah, but they also do a lot of business with India. A lot of oil, when India's still doing oil deals with
Right.
Russia, I think. So
Yeah, that's
they've got
true.
their finger, they got their feet in across multiple borders, shall we say?
Yeah.
They're almost like Switzerland, but instead of being neutral, they're playing with everyone.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there anything you feel compelled to do in front of the Fed presser today? I mean,
Not in
this,
front of it. I think we're in
yeah,
that treading water mode. Um, I've been trading Aussie dollar off my 64.40 support. It got its nose above 65 yesterday evening. That's now ebbed out, and we're just treading water there. So it's a case
yeah,
of plot your levels, get ready for where you might want to trade if prices are going to go somewhere if Powell pulls something out. And we've had China cutting rates across the board. Finally, cutting the RRR, cutting this, cutting that, cutting the other. Another few kitchen sinks being lobbed about. But because it's been so well telegraphed all year,
right.
there's been little movement there.
Yeah. I mean, looks pretty strong to me. I mean, everyone was worried about them letting it go into the tariffs. With this action, they can't call them a currency manipulator by making their currency stronger, can they? Can we?
No, exactly.
Okay.
But
That may have been the whole point, right?
they'll keep their fingers on the buttons both sides. But I'm getting interested in this one. If we get down maybe 7.16s, 7, 10, 11,
Yeah.
I might think I might try and pick up some. But we've got finally official contact between US and China reps.
Yeah, I
That's
heard.
potentially meeting this weekend, but it's going to be a meeting not for deals. It's going to be a meeting where they'll decide what they want to talk about and how they're going to
Right.
talk about it. So
It's a meeting to talk about having a meeting,
yes, that old
right?
jargon.
It reminds me of California. It's the only state you need a license to get a license. So is that
Exactly.
what lit up? Is that what lit up risk yesterday?
Yeah,
Was that they were talking?
yeah, pretty
Okay,
much.
so it's still fading from this 5,700 level. Uh, okay. Uh, I don't have a lot of conviction. Gold, I was a day early. I did it at 61.8. I didn't do the fibs, but I think this was this 78.6 up here, Blake. So this could end up being
Yes, it
I think
was.
it was a 78. Let me
It
double
is.
check that. I have it on my
uh,
screen.
yeah, I'm pretty
It
sure,
is. Hi, Dale. It is the
Hi.
78.6. It
All
is.
right.
Yes.
Yep,
Oh,
there you
oh,
go. Kman just
okay.
confirmed.
Yeah. So I have to so that's a lesson for me too on a trade like that. I should have been scaling. 61.8 is just 61.8. Um anyway, they look heavy, especially if we get any follow through back under 3.5 and silver. Um, I don't know. Uh, I just can't get excited about anything right here today. So the only thing that kind of it looks interesting to me is it looks like Canada's trying. Here's one, right? And this was a divergence from all the way back here. I mean, Canada's been diverging since the 11th of April. Okay, that's the last confirmed. Really, it's April 3rd. This was the last confirmed low. So when the market's diverging for all this time and really not making a lot of headway to the downside, um, I think it could be set up for a squeeze. Maybe the Fed's a catalyst. What do you? I know you trade Looney. Can you get short down here, Kman? Or should we be looking for
Morning.
some type of bear market rally here?
I have support down to 137.10ish, and I've been talking
Okay.
about this support zone for weeks now. Between
Yeah.
anywhere 138.40 down to 137.10 is
Yeah.
support, and for as long as that doesn't break, I can't start to be again bearish on the dollar cat. There's obviously talks between Carney and Trump now.
No
Yeah,
deal
I
though.
mean,
Did Carney say? Oh, he said constructive. And
yeah,
if there would have been a deal, I'm sure President Trump would have announced it.
Yeah, but
But
and now they're pushing it onto perhaps negotiating details into the USMCA. So it all looks like being a bit of a storm in a glass of water brewing, and we may not get like big announcements anywhere. For in that regard. So again, for as long as we hold that 137.10 30 zone, I'm not going to get ultra bearish on the dollar cap.
okay. Blake, US dollar MEX, I noticed last night it got up to, well,
I'm
pretty
so
close to
pissed.
your resistance zone that you were looking at from this
I'm so
low.
pissed, and I know that Ryan's still, milking a short there, and I was like, here it comes. My order was at 79.5, and it got up to 78 and change, and
Yeah,
I was focused on the euro and everything else, so it really backed up to
yeah,
where it should have, and then it failed where it should have. I just didn't participate, and I'm a
yeah,
little bummed out about it. But I think a lot of that is because there's been some discussions with Scheinbaum and the Mexican government, and they just haven't been as cooperative with the administration as most people believe, and I think that gave it a little bit of a lift yesterday. And
yeah.
but still, I'm my order's out there until the end of the week, so we'll see. You never know with the Fed today what could happen. I have my plans on how I'm going to trade the Fed. I'm actually going to illustrate it, so so you guys can see
Oh,
exactly what I'm
cool.
going to do here. So I'll talk about that here
Okay.
in a minute.
Okay, so the dollar here, if it could just get it, it wouldn't take much. Maybe back over 9.5. And that would measure back up here if we got through this little formation here. But it could just keep grinding down too, or just collapse. Um, I think I know you talked to Jim on Fridays, but he sent me. I read his last piece. The positioning in the dollar, Blake, is very extreme, according to what
Yeah.
Jim sent me. I mean, I don't think the market's ever been the short, and if it was near a major turning point that we had a few years ago. So it's kind of an unusual setup because it's hard to say you're bullish a dollar in this environment, isn't it? What's there to be bullish about? But it sure seems like everyone's on that side of the boat right now.
Yeah, it,
Makes
it does.
makes
It
me
does feel that
uncomfortable.
way, but at the same time, look, if you just look
They
at.
could be right for a while.
Yeah, right. Well, that's exactly right, Dale. I think you
Yeah,
nailed it. Is that
yeah.
they can be right for a while. Positioning, not CFTC positioning isn't bad. I I mean everybody tells us, through different metrics how bearish, people are. But the dollars had plenty of time, or let's say the bulls have had plenty of time to actually get the dollar up. And
Yeah,
I have to say, by you can even look at your metrics there. But if
yeah.
you even put on a daily chart, RSI has worked off oversold conditions now,
Yeah.
and
Okay, by
we
going
are perfectly
sideways. Yeah,
poised to make technically to make another low. Look at RSI; it's right back
yeah,
to neutral.
yeah,
So
yeah. Got it. Yeah, 50 right here. Well,
yeah.
we'll see. I don't know. Maybe uh I'm not short yet, so and I'd like to see it up here, but we'll see. Um, it looks like the yen, only the yen looks a little stronger. I mean, it's getting a little bit of an update today. So I'm going to shut up and give you the charts, bro, so you could lay out your plan for the community.
All right, sounds great. You guys were talking about the Canadian a little bit earlier, and Kman was mentioning the 137.10 level,
Yeah,
and I've agreed that that's pretty big support, and I've had a real tough time buying it as well until we get down there. But it's also in a really really well-respected channel. So even if it makes it below 137.10 and it makes a jab towards 136.50, those are levels that I'd be interested in as well. I think ultimately, when you're talking about Canada and the Canadian dollar just in general, I think Canada is going to have a really, really tough time with this trade war. And, you can obviously see the animosity between the US and Canada right now. And I think it's going to weigh heavily on the Canadian economy. People will probably look around and say, well, it's going to be, equally as bad for the US economy since, Canada is our biggest trading partner. I don't know. I don't necessarily agree with that statement, but I think that even if you decide not to play the dollar Canadian to the long side, I think the euro Canadian is probably the best trading vehicle out there. So my thought process has been is if the dollar Canadian does drop to 137, maybe sub 137, I'd actually want to buy the euro Canadian at that moment versus buying the dollar CAD. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I wanted to talk this out really quick with the euro, and just because this goes
That was a
alongside.
good buy yesterday on closing the show.
Oh, what's that?
You showed a long euro trade right before the interview.
Yes, thank you. And I'm actually long the euro, and I almost got shook out of it yesterday, and I was like, all right, Blake, keep your wits about you. Because last night I was at the gym and there was an announcement about Besant and meeting with, Chinese counterparts and blah blah blah. And you saw the euro Aussie took a dump, or yes,
Yeah.
it took a dump. Aussie ripped, euro fell. And this was during just as futures started opening. Of course, futures, ramped up. And I think Kman, you even jumped in the chat room at that point in time and said, yeah, they announced it right as the stock market futures open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you jumped in there too. Like I said, I was at the gym and I came back afterwards and I'm like, you know what, this is bullshit. We're this is one step down a very freaking long road we're going to be going. If you guys think that some sort of trade deal is going to be done like today or next week on Saturday when they all meet, they're hey, yeah, we put together a deal. I mean, this is the start of talks in my opinion. And so I was like, I didn't want to, thank God I didn't just say, oh shit, I need to get out my euro as a result of that. I still want to play the euro to the long side. I am long. I'm going to go into the FOMC long, and I'm going to play on the long side as long as we're above 112.70, which is that previous high from over here. I've actually plotted this out, but I also want to be playing it long, and I'm not going to be playing it long for a long period of time. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. If you look at the euro, just as we were talking about with the dollar index, bears have had a lot of, or excuse me, dollar bulls have had a lot of time to try to play and break the euro down. And and as we were just talking, the euro's worked off its overbought conditions. Dollar index has worked off its oversold conditions, as Dale just talked about. What you also notice here, if you take a good look in the euro, we're in a nice ascending channel, which this just reaffirms, hey, as long as we're above 112.70, I'm not going to be on the short side. I just want to continue to stay on the long side. Doesn't mean today it's going to work out, but this is how I am playing it. If we get above the 38% retracement, we should take on 114.50, basically 115 and maybe even new highs. Now, I am going to be a seller should we reach 116.50. And the reason why is, technically speaking, you can go back to 2005 right here. This is the previous low, but it's not just that. You can see how big this pivot's been for as Ryan would tell you, for when he looks back in time and he looks back and goes, it's just a big level over time. I mean, you can see back here in 2015, 2016, 2017, 2020, even post COVID, there was some reaction there. I think this level is just going to be a reactionary level that we're going to see some sort of reaction. It's about 116.50. That's about as long as I want to play it to the upside, maybe a little bit longer, as long as this channel is holding. But it's just like any bullish trend. You sell into rallies and you buy dips. If you just extrapolate this channel higher, the last thing
180.
you want to be doing is chasing it to the upside. You want to be selling into strength, buying dips, selling into strength, buying dips. If this channel is going to stay relevant, and I feel it will for the remainder of this year, then I will be selling strength around 116.50, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower, somewhere in around this neighborhood. And I'm going to be buying dips in the weeks and months ahead. So that's how I'm looking to play it. Especially you go into today, you go into the Fed today, and what's the Fed going to do? Is the Fed going to become more hawkish right now because of inflation expectations? No. Of course they're not. They're stuck. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They can't give us any or much of a forecast because they don't know what the hell we're dealing with, and they're going to start to see the hard data come in over the course of the next 30 to 60 days. Are they going to, give us a cut? They can't give us a cut, and they can't even, suggest that a cut's coming anytime in the near future because they don't understand the hiccups we're going to see in our supply chain, what type of inflation is going to be a result of all of these shipments that have stopped in China, and the hiccup that we're going to see, even if some sort of in principle deal is put together over the course of the next couple of weeks, we still have 2 months of a supply chain hiccup. And what's that going to do with empty shelves and medications and prices? There's so much uncertainty. They're going to have to stay on the sidelines. So if you think that the Fed's going to be moving anytime in the near future, they're not. They can't cut rates because if they do, inflation expectations are going to really ramp up, and that's the last thing that they want to do when inflation is running, a little bit above their target at this point. So I have a feeling they're going to err more on the side of caution. And if you're thinking, oh, well, maybe we're going to see, a rate cut, in June, maybe it's going to be pushed out to July. Who knows? But I don't think that the Fed's going to be hawkish by any stretch of the means. So I think the risk at this point is the euro still is probably poised to trade back up towards these highs, if not higher. So that's how I'm going to play the euro. Like I said, as long as the euro remains above 112.70 on a closing basis, I plan on being on the long side. Now that's how I'm looking to play the FOMC today. I want to know how you guys are looking to play the FOMC. What are you going to do, Ryan, especially with the Bank of England tomorrow? You playing, sterling? How are you going to do this thing?
Well, I want to see if we actually get anything from Powell in the first place. We know we're not getting anything on rates. We know they made their bond change last month to QT, which has got a few people around FinTwit in a flap about what they're buying. We were discussing this on the Flow Show, and as Kay mentioned, it's really how whether he's going to talk about everything that's expiring in the next year or so, because there's a hell of a lot of balance sheet expiring. So how they're going to cope with that within their limits at the moment. That's probably the only place we'll get anything that might be market moving. And then how the market, which is expecting 4 cuts at the moment, fully pricing 4 cuts for the rest of the year, how that balances off with the Fed's expectation of 3 cuts. So how Powell sells that one will maybe get a little bit of movement in rate expectations, but that market call for 100 basis points of cuts has ramped up over the last couple of weeks, but we've not seen that happening in the dollar getting weaker because of everything else going on. So I'm going to do pretty much what you're doing. I'm going to pick my levels. Euro dollar, it's 112, 115 for me. If we get a move to either side of that, I'll have a look. If we don't, I'll leave it alone. And I'm just going to be looking for opportunities rather than thinking I'm going to get any.
So you're going to react to the reaction, which makes sense in today's market. Kman, how are you gonna play the Fed today? What are you looking to do?
I still got my my small bias to sell dollar rips. So if I get an algo move on the back of the fact that they don't move at all. I may counter that a little bit. Yeah, and as I was saying on the flow show, there's a heap maturing in 2025, bond maturing. So I think if that may be the only thing that we could expect today from Powell, is that he says we are going to be flexible in versus all those maturities also, because for the rest they don't know, they are in a wait and watch mode. So I'm actually not expecting a lot, but yeah, I mean, we can always get a surprise.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys have been talking a lot about the, yeah, and I know you were just discussing it obviously earlier about the move in gold and precious metals. I mean, I'm trying to figure out what stops this juggernaut right now. I mean, gold looks
Well, yeah,
extremely bullish, and it
yeah,
held exactly where it needed to hold. I mean, my opinion was, and you can see this black line, it's been drawn there for, the last week and a half or whatever. And my opinion has been, as long as we don't get below that, there's no reason to be bearish. And I mean, we're pulling back to levels where, longs are like, I'm going to reload here. I mean, what stops this thing, Kman?
the resolving the all trade wars, or all trade talks, and but not without virtually canceling all additional tariffs that have been announced. We've seen yesterday on that announcement that China and the US go sit around the table next weekend, that gold lost about $40 or so. But
Good point.
yeah, the story isn't over. If China doesn't like what they hear, gold goes to 3.5, 3.6, 4,000.
Right.
Why not?
Right.
But trade if trade gets resolved and we see that it has an impact um, on global growth expectations, at least, then gold, people won't need to that much of a hedge anymore. So I think then gold has a real chance of getting lower. But I don't think we're there yet. So
Yeah, we definitely. And I just realized, I'm sorry guys. I just realized, Dale, I'd like to hear how you want to play this, but Greg is here too. I can't tell if Greg is here
Yeah,
just
got
being
Greg
a
in there.
creeper, like, like being like some
He's
sort of stalker
stalking.
dude, or he
He's
actually
a
has something
troll.
to
He's a
tell us. So
troll. Hey,
he's
come on,
trolling.
troll.
Troll.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
what's up, Greg, a troll?
Yeah, what's up? Oh, I'm listening to you guys.
Hey, Greg. Hey, since you're here and I saw that you were here, what are you looking at? I'll pull up your charts here on Forex Analytics. So, what are you looking at today going into the Fed?
Well, I think that probably the most important is that we keep an eye on the US Treasuries, I mean US yields. I'm afraid that there we have, at least from an Elliott wave perspective, on Treasuries, that we have room for more weakness, and this could possibly keep dollar in consolidation for a bit longer. You still see on this chart that I'm missing that wave C to the downside, and basically I just would not be surprised if this one has already begun. So I think that there is a chance that euro will see another dip. I would be the buyer on euro dollar at 112.50, around there. I think that's the first interesting support if we get this dip. And I agree also with dollar Mexican peso, as you discussed earlier. There, I think that 1984, it's pretty nice resistance. It's the swing low from April and March levels. So I'm thinking that we have room for further weakness into this wave C, and we are just retesting that wave A swing lows, as you can see on that chart.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
So,
big rounded top. I love being. I wish I was short, but I think you're exactly
so
right.
overall, I'm expecting more dollar weakness, but I'm afraid that this correction that is unfolding for the last, 3 weeks or so, it's maybe not fully completed yet. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but
Got
if
it.
we get spike higher, let's say
So you're bearish bonds now. Big move or what?
No, just short term.
Okay.
Just short term. But
Okay.
I mean, if we see US Treasury is going back to 109, that's I mean, for some, that's pretty big move for this week.
Yeah.
And just remember, guys, Greg uploads his Elliott wave analysis on 30 different instruments on ForexAnalytix every single day in European hours. And so we cover more than just currencies. Obviously, we got the 10-year, Ethereum, Boons, the DAX, gold, the dollar, all the currency pairs, S&Ps. So if you want his daily views on how he's viewing this and his analysis written out, it's right here on ForexAnalytix, which, by the way, we have our Liberation offer, which is 40% off our monthly subscriptions, which brings it to 80 some odd dollars a month, which is $3 a day, roughly. And for $3 a day, you have this amazing platform with, live squawk and all of this news. You have our private shows, which I'm going to be on in just a few minutes with Steve Volgarius. We'll be on the Morning Edge, and you have the most active trading community where you can see exactly what Kman's getting into. You can follow exactly how Ryan's trading the markets, and whoops, that was just a little update.
Hey, Mike, thanks for joining. How'd you hear about Forex Analytics? Anyway,
Yeah.
Glad to have you as part of it.
Yeah, Mike's just joined, I think, over the last week or so. So it's good to have him there.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, but Dale, I know. Do you have a guest today?
JJ, are you out there? Raise your hand if you are. I can't find you in the attendees.
I'll go look for JJ. But Dale, while I'm doing that, how are you going to trade the Fed today? While I'm looking for JJ.
I'm with Grega. I'm still long some dollars here. And it's not only a liquidation for me if we get up towards a 101 level in the next few days or so, it's a reverse out. Okay, so I'll be booking it and shorting it against 102 when I come out of longs.
All right, so you're like Greg, and you think that the dollar could get a little bit of a lift. You're not sure if it's ready to just start weakening just yet.
Yeah, I think maybe take some of those stops out first,
all right,
and at least maybe fill that gap.
A lot of people have been trying to lean into this dollar. I think it's just had it. I think they've had a lot of time to do it.
Yeah, you could be right. You could be right.
We'll see.
All it's going to do is take one wrong word from Paul.
Oh, okay. JJ is F. Yeah. So
okay.
I think his cat crawled across the keyboard.
Yeah, that was exactly like a cat crawl. JJ, we're gonna have to teach you how to use your computer.
Usually,
here we go. Here, I just saw him. Did somebody grab him?
I didn't.
Oh,
but it looks like he's there. Someone may have.
No, I just went to grab him and then it disappeared. Hold on, let me see if I can. I can't find. Oh, wait.
He's in. He's in.
He's in.
He's in. Okay.
All right, Gorilla.
Oh, there he is. All right.
Yeah, the
All
Gorilla. McGilla.
Right. I've been like that little kid in class, raising my hand, going, "I'm here. I'm here."
Okay. We're not ready to call on you quite yet.
All right. Well, have a great interview, guys, and thanks everybody for listening. And good luck for the Fed Day. We'll see you in the chat rooms.
Yeah, get in the chat rooms. It's going to be a wild day, I think, for the Fed. How you doing there, JJ?
Good, sir. How are you? Good to be
pretty
back.
good. So tell me some more stories during this 20% decline. That must have been a pretty tough environment to be a day trader.
It is. The other thing is, I don't like thin order books, and because of electronic execution, these order books in milliseconds will thin out so much. You'll see 6 contracts offered, and then 8 points above you'll see 2, and there's nothing in between.
How long has it been like that? Since Liberation Day? Or before?
I call it Judgment Day, like Terminator 2.
Okay.
It's another. This coach is just another example of another great margin robbery, just like COVID. So you look at any kind of a longer term chart, and all we did was we flushed everybody out
Yeah.
who was margin long. We flushed them out
Right.
real hard. Whether it's whatever product you're looking at, people don't pay cash for their stock. Boom, there's the
Yeah.
flush, buy it all back. It's like a penny stock shakeout. And it's been hard. April was a very difficult trading month. I'm not going to lie. There was a lot of times when the order book was so dodgy in the ES, it was trading like NASDAQ, and it was just jumping around like it was, crazy. So there are a lot of days that I
So
just didn't trade.
yeah,
You
you
know.
tell your people, especially new people that have no
Oh yeah.
idea
Well, the thing
what
is,
they're getting into.
exactly, because when the order books get thin, when the markets get really thin, the advantage goes to the institutional players who pay huge amounts of money for data, technology,
Yeah.
speed, algos. They have staff that monitors their tech. You're
That
sitting there
dark
with
pool information.
you got dark pools, swimming pools, movie
Yeah.
stars. It's like, we're like the Beverly Hillbillies, but without the mansion. you know and we're just sitting there with a piece of wood and a penknife whittling, and these other guys are using lasers. So
Yeah.
it's there's a lot of times where retail traders just don't know when it's not a good time to do business.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we just have to be patient and wait. Now, one thing I've learned about telling retail traders is as soon as you tell a human being to be patient, they do the opposite. So
Yeah.
what I do is I hit the ego. I say, listen, be smart. Because if you're
Yeah.
going to be, if you're going to be smart, then you're going to be patient by default. You're going to have to wait for your opportunity, wait for that business setup. And what we've been really working on is, does the trade make good business sense? So if you are taking a trade, you need to explain what is the business that is driving that trade. And if you can't do that, you have no business taking the trade. And so, you put your trade in, like say you're doing a long, right? Say you're going long over $5. The premise for that trade is that nobody's willing to sell under five. So you go long 510, whatever, 505, 510, wherever you can get in. You put your stop a little bit under five, especially if you got a small account, because once the reason for that trade is gone, say somebody offers it at 480, well, you got no business being long at five, right? It's
Yeah.
really simple.
Yeah.
So, if you keep it simple, and that helps retail people envision what's going on and kind of visualize. And if they can visualize, they can trade better if they can visualize,
Okay.
and also managing expectations, if inventory is above us like it is now and you're going long, you're going to get sellers all over the place, you know?
Yeah, I'm interested in what market profile is showing both above and beneath the mark
Sure.
in
Let me
this environment.
take a quick look through here. What we've been doing is we've been rotating. And what do we rotate? We rotate inventory, right? So we did a look above 5704 and fail, which targeted 5623. And then we did a look below 5623 and fail, which targets 5704. Now, because it's a Fed day, of course.
Yeah.
So we've got a market profile, which is what we call a P-shaped. It looks like the letter P. The shorts are trapped right at the base of that P. Now, how can you tell the shorts are trapped there? Well, because every time you get down to the base of that P, the market bids. The base is right here at 56.43, which is coincidentally, and it's not a coincidence, where the primary 70% of the cost basis, the point of control, is right there. So the market sells down to cost basis. The sellers stop selling. Shorts come in and cover. Wholesale longs start to buy. Retail starts to buy. And then that third and fourth buyer are the shorts that are short in the hole. They start realizing they're trapped, and that pushes price up. So there is a sequence to putting in a low, and it's the same all the time. I've been trapping shorts, for 20 years when I did deals, right? You would induce a short, trap the short. That way you could sell your paper at a higher price using somebody else's bid to hold the market up, right? So we use the same thing in our trading, and everything that we have to do has to be justified with simplicity. And if the trade doesn't make, that's how we get rid of FOMO and tilt and all those things. I mean, if you were a
What's
baker,
tilt?
tilt is when people blow up their accounts because they're down so much. It's like driving a car and getting a flat tire and then taking a knife to all 3 other tires.
Okay, well, you meant I think of a pinball machine. So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
you tilt out, you go tilt, you're
yeah,
done, you're off.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they're these terms and they're basically just euphemisms for bad business
I
discipline.
saw that you have something labeled Skyhook. Is Kareem
Oh
trading
yeah.
with you now? Huh?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got him there?
this is Kareem. Well, remember on Friday morning before the open, we had uh we had an interesting situation where we took here it is. The news came out on Friday morning, pre-market, right? And
Yeah.
we took all this
NFP.
inventory and we threw it up here. And we defended that level all the way until yesterday. We finally broke it because we distributed above 56.63. Finally, we ran out of buyers and we had to put it on sale back down under 56.23. And now it was funny because in the overnight tonight, there were bids right at that same level again. And I'm an inventory trader. That's all I've ever done is just sold inventory my whole life. So then it helps me visualize what's going on. It's actually the business, right? I mean, it's not like one in the morning we're selling gold contracts, and in the afternoon we've got a sandwich shop, and at night we're running a massage parlor. It's the same business. So the same thing happens on every single time frame: long term, medium term, short term, right? So the chart, that chart is pretty much the same as this chart. We're just managing and looking at the distribution and accumulation of inventory here on a minute basis, here on a daily basis. So
Okay.
that helps us, keep us from losing our head and shorting, getting short in the hole here because we're looking for that move up if we come up over 23, right? That tells us not to short. That goes go long, put your stop here, look for 63 as a target for the larger trader. We do the
Yeah,
same thing.
I tell you what, anyone who went home long and the market closed okay on Liberation Day. You want to
Mhm.
show that candle just for the heck of it. We closed good that day before the
Okay.
announcement. People didn't
Yeah.
have a chance to get out, buddy.
Yeah. Oh no,
I
no,
think it
no.
was April 12th or something.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was
It
just.
closed good and
Yeah.
then just gap lower
Yeah.
on his uh,
You know.
whiteboard,
And
showing his
then
whiteboard. Yeah,
and then this day here, I believe it was the 9th. You had a 500 point range in the ES.
yeah,
That's like walking down the street and seeing a woolly mammoth just kind of casually walk by.
yeah.
That is historic stuff and very hard for retail traders to trade. I mean, if you're
I
trading a
think they
small
called
account.
it a 3 sigma event. Do you know what that means? It's kind
I,
of like the sigma when they
I,
bring that
I
up.
I am not familiar with that, Coach. You
Yeah,
remember
it's
I'm an
kind
old
of like an earthquake. Only they
it's like
measure it
on
instant. Yeah,
instead of the Richter scale.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm an old
Well,
guy, and
unless
what
it's
I
fraternity.
I just
Uh,
find the bid and work off it.
okay.
We short it down to the bid. When we find the bid, we cover. And if we're not short, when we find the bid, we go long. We put our stop underneath the bid and sell into strength. And the most important thing is to manage our risk during these times. So you wait for those nice setups that you've practiced. You wait for that, where the business, where the trade makes sense, right? And when you're looking for a trade and the trade makes sense, then you take it, you put your insurance in, which is the stop, right? So you're going long at 5, you put your stop at 490. That's your insurance policy. You've paid your premium. Larger traders can maybe use a bigger stop because they've got more money to work with. But generally you have to put in your trade and then put in your insurance.
Yeah.
And that's like, if you were
At,
buying 1,000 TVs
at
from
the
China,
same time.
you gotta insure them, right?
Yeah.
And this is the only business that allows you to purchase insurance on every transaction.
So let me ask you: has volume, liquidity, is it improving now that ranges are a little bit more compressed, or
It,
is it even
it's
worse?
no, it's getting better. The ES is getting better. I only trade the ES
Yeah.
because I'm almost 60 years old now. I can't believe it, but I like to trade one thing and know it well, but I do track, like I'm looking at Tesla here, Nvidia here, and what I'm hoping for is things kind of calm down and we can get back to business without all this drama, you know.
Oh, well, forget that. You
You
really
know,
think things are gonna calm down?
I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping they do for the stability of the U.S. markets. But what the one thing I've got to say is, even with the 500-point range day in the ES, it's a testament to the stability of the markets because we never had a limit down. The clearing system worked, right? You didn't see brokerage firms going out of business.
That's really
Uh,
a good point.
and we got T+1 now, so it's not like they don't. You only have one day to clear those trades. They
Right.
come out on act, and you got to clear them and match up, and everything kind of withstood the test, which I think is a testament to the stability and the clearing and settlement and the plumbing of the U.S. markets, what nobody ever talks about.
Yeah.
But
They're always looking at the negatives.
yeah, I mean, I think the U.S. markets are a beautiful thing, and I grew up, going through the sewers of the penny stock market and
Oh,
knowing
yeah. You were
cross-border
in
clearing. And
Vancouver. Yeah.
hey, listen, if you need to hide a short position in Switzerland for a year, I'm your guy.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah. Yeah,
you know,
everyone's moving, everyone's buying Swiss francs and
yeah.
Do you take the dollar into account?
I look at it, but I do not have the macro knowledge, so I
Yeah.
don't purport. I mean, I listen to guys like that's what I came in a little earlier to listen to you guys because, I get knowledge about macro and things from people like you, and then I listen to the guy who wears the scarf. What's his name? Raul Paul, and
Oh, yeah.
I call him Scarf Guy.
Yeah.
And I listen to the macro guys to try and learn. I can't trade macro because I'm a
No,
day trader.
no one can. The
Yeah.
macro guys can't trade it. It's
And
not actionable. It's not actionable stuff. It's
you know,
all narrative.
I need to know where to put my buy, my stop,
Yeah.
and where I have a good chance of selling into some strength and making sure that I sell before the competition grabs my
But
customers.
you'll sound smart at at a cocktail party
Yeah, well, and I don't
with
get
that
invited.
stuff, right?
I'm in Liverpool, so I don't get invited to a lot of cocktail parties.
Really?
Um,
The Beatles don't invite you. Okay. So one lesson that maybe a new lesson you learned over the past quarter with what we've seen and what we may continue to see.
one lesson I've learned is that one gentleman can really affect markets in a major way. I honestly did not think that we would have such volatility. I mean, I was completely blown away. And then what it did for me, number one, I got a respect for the clearing system. Number two, I learned to respect this market because when you have 200-point
Power.
ranges, 500-point ranges, that's like
Yeah.
being big. Like that's like those guys who surf in Portugal at Nazare,
Yeah.
those 60,
They're
80
big
foot waves,
waves. Yeah.
and sometimes you just got to sit on the beach, you know,
I like
um,
that.
sometimes you just got to sit and watch, let the billionaires sort it out. And then once
Yeah.
they sort it out, it's like in Vancouver, we have this game when you go to dinner with these, mining promoters and stock
Yeah.
promoters, they'll go out and they'll order all sorts of really expensive food. When the bill comes, you got to make sure you disappear or else they'll nail you with a $4,000 dinner bill. So
Huh. Yeah.
that's a game they play in
Yeah.
Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
So when it gets really volatile, let the really rich, large traders forge the path and work it out, and then go in and execute afterwards.
Yeah. I like
So
that sit on the beach metaphor.
yeah,
And if you're one of those guys out there on a board, they don't try and catch every wave.
exactly.
They're
Exactly.
patient and wait for the right setup.
Yeah. Everything
Yeah.
is about the setup, and the discipline. And that was the hardest thing for me when I started retail trading because, I was a paper hanger. I'd sell stock all day and then go home.
Yeah.
But retail trading requires an enormous amount of discipline. And that was the hardest thing for me to do, was to discipline myself and then find a setup and test it and watch and wait and see and have the humility. And I really think in this year, humility is going to be our best risk management.
Okay. Do you have humility about the public companies that you're working on bringing to market?
Definitely.
They're not
Definitely.
public yet, are they?
No, nothing's public yet, but I am working on a few deals. And
Where are you going to start? On the bulletin board?
yeah, we'll go for a pink
The
sheet listing.
pink sheet? You're going to be
One
on
of
the
them,
pinks?
yeah, one of them will have the assets and the revenue for NASDAQ,
Oh, cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I do everything from about $30 down, but
Okay.
this time I'm doing it right, and I'm taking my time, and no crazy business partners. I got a bunch of young guys that I trust, and I'm training them. Like get them young and train them like a bird dog.
Yeah. Well, I know a lot of people are looking for a pretty strong market into August. Maybe
Mhm.
you'll be able to float it by the fall.
I think so. I'm hoping so.
Don't forget, you need my address for the free trading and restricted.
Listen, Coach, you're getting a cert. Don't worry about it.
All right. Okay.
Well,
That's all because I could mention the stock. Anyway, uh, always looking for a deal. So,
always, hey,
hey,
exactly.
that, really, that's how most people really became rich, by having a vehicle like a public company.
Yeah, and
Because you're the Fed, you have your own
yeah,
printing press, right?
exactly. Your paper's 15 cents a pound.
Yeah.
You
Well, we'll
know,
see. Depends where we get it from now, right?
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So you
I
get,
didn't read up on tariffs on paper.
I don't know where we get our paper from. If it's Canadian lumber, who knows?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're getting a nice compliment here. Galaxy likes you. So how do people find you if they are attracted to your
Uh,
demeanor and
I'm VWAP Trader One
okay, uh,
on Twitter, on X.
okay, there he is.
And our website is, we changed our name to the Trading Syndicate, but if you go to Micro E Futures, it'll take you right to the Trading Syndicate.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And JJ is a uh, lamb in wolf's clothing, which is the opposite of what you should be worried about. Okay, he looks like a wolf, but he's a lamb, right?
Hey,
Instead of being a wolf and trying to look like a lamb.
like I say, every time a retail trader makes money, an old paper hanger like me gets his wings. You know,
Oh
uh,
man, I tell
you
you
know,
what, I must have, like, I don't know, at least
you
a
know,
couple wings.
exactly.
Could at least fly away,
You
because
know.
I've always wanted to be an eagle. I had a group of traders. We called it the Eagle's Nest.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So JJ, always great catching up with you, man.
Thank you, Coach. I
I'm
really
glad you didn't
appreciate
get
it.
hurt and everything's cool. I think a lot of people um, made some bad mistakes during that time
It's
frame.
been a tough market, and my heart goes out to everyone who got clipped. But that's the thing about this business. We got to just get back up on the horse and dust ourselves off,
Next,
and off we go again.
next. Yeah.
Yep.
Look, it happens all the time. I was shorting gold yesterday. I made a few bucks, and then also got stopped out at the remainder um, a half a day early. You look at
Yeah.
it today, right?
Yeah.
So right the market, wrong the trade. Does that happen to your people much?
Oh
They're
yeah.
right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's just part of the business.
Yeah. It's just that's just part of the business. It's the guys over at Shadow Trader. Brad Agunis has this great saying: "Sometimes you're the pigeon, sometimes you're the statue." And I love that saying. He's a
Huh?
great guy. Yeah, he's a
Yeah,
great
that's
guy.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah,
And again, look, I grew up in Chicago, where it's, I think, the pigeon capital of the world.
yeah.
You see, they're dropping bombs on your windshield all the time. So anyway, JJ, good to hear you, bro. I'm glad you're doing okay,
Thank you,
and
Coach.
we'll get back together in the summer. If you need me for
Anytime.
anything, feel free to DM me.
Thank you, sir. Have a wonderful day.
All right,
All right.
that's JJ, and You know, you can find him at VWAP Trader 1, and you know, the guy's a pro. All right, so he was a market maker. So
Thank you,
that's a
sir.
wrap, right? You were a market maker. And
Well,
he
yeah,
even
I was a liquidator. I fed market makers.
all right, a
Yeah,
liquidator.
yeah,
He knew how to, you know, track bids and offers.
yep,
So
yep.
that's a wrap, and you could join the team in about 20 minutes. Good luck with the Fed today. And remember, there's no law that you have to trade today. You could also just sit back, let the dust settle, right? And
Definitely.
I'll see everyone tomorrow. Don't just count your pips or your points, count your blessings. Okay. Today is a good day to die. And I'll leave you with that thought. Live each day like it could be your last. Okay. Because we don't know. Anyway, talk to everyone tomorrow. Good luck. And I'll see everyone tomorrow.